Hey everybody, it's Sean with Team Groover. We're out here with our first, what I'm calling the 4G, our 4QTG, 4 questions with Team Groover. And today I'm at Southern Trust Mortgage with my good friend Brian Canady. I've known Brian for a while. He has been my go-to mortgage guy since I got into the business last year. For us, it's all about creating that personal connection and getting to know people. And so when somebody asks me, hey, I got some questions about getting a home loan, immediately reach out to Brian, and we try to work to take care of what is my clients, and eventually hopefully becomes Brian's client as well. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and get started. So tell me a little bit about yourself and how long you've been in the business for.
Born and raised in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Spent 4 years running around like a wild man in Chapel Hill, but was lucky enough to kind of come back to Fayetteville and get into the mortgage business. So I've been in the business for a little over, coming up on 24 years. So a lot of times you may ask why that matters. Well, I think in today's mortgage environment, I've seen a lot of things. I've been through the peaks and valleys of the mortgage business, but experience, I think is the number one thing that I offer to you as an agent, to your borrowers, just so we guide them smoothly through the process when everybody wants to meet that closing date, and we have a very high success rate of meeting those closing dates. If for whatever reason, maybe appraisal delay, we're not meeting those, we're not waiting until the last minute to tell you. We're on top of it. We're letting everybody know. So,
and I think from our side too, for the people watching and for potential clients, having a local person, and I get nothing from Brian other than friendship and helping out clients. But having a local person that I can call, here, and a lot of the national companies, it makes it a little bit difficult, especially as we move to closing and some things change, of not really being able to get that personalized service. I don't call Brian at midnight, but I think if there was an opportunity and I needed to, Brian would pick up the phone and
absolutely
answer for me.
I've answered the phone at the dinner table. If I'm out at a restaurant, just say, hey, I'll call you back. And you mentioned some of the bigger companies, and they'll remain nameless, but I think local does matter. So. We offer a personal touch. It is the biggest transaction that typically a person's going to make in their life.
It is.
Whether they're born $80,000, $280,000, or $500,000, it's the biggest transaction of their life. So, you want to be in good hands, but also understand the process.
Right.
And when you dial the 800 numbers and to knock on any of those guys, you may talk to 20 different people, and you're going to get 20 different answers a lot of the times. And I've had customers say they're pre-approved, or kind of maybe comparing me or kind of figuring out, call the 800 number back, and they figure out that I'm either going to talk to them or my processor or my assistant. So we are a team of 3. I kept it that way intentionally because I used to be with a big bank, and figured out pretty darn quickly that a smaller team operates more efficiently. It's better for the customer. They're better informed about the process, and most importantly, close on time.
Exactly. So my next question is, what services do you guys offer?
Yeah, obviously purchase. We're heavy here in the purchase market. Right next to Fort Bragg, obviously we're VA. We know what we're doing VA. In fact, a lot of colleagues within Southern Trust will call me with their VA questions. Hey, how do I handle this? So we're really experienced on VA loans. But FHA, conventional, USDA, all types of loan products that we do offer as far as purchases, refinances, depending upon when you close on a house. It may be a good time to refinance. It may not. A lot of the times, the biggest piece of advice I'd tell a customer when they call me back on a refinance, hopefully they'll call me back on a loan that we closed some time ago, is let's look at it, because sometimes it just doesn't make financial sense to refinance a customer just because we're adding $5,000 worth of fees on there. Hypothetically, I'm going to say $50 a month, but they're going to sell that house in a few years. And the break-even point is key on a refinance. Other thing, a big thing we've just gotten into in the past couple of years is helping people with the credit.
Yep.
It's not to say I handhold them, but I do give them advice. I do follow back up. I've worked with several people for a couple of years. We hired a gentleman by the name of Mike McNamara He is our credit guru. He has, helped me tremendously, whether it's somebody taking them from a 580 to a 600 or even higher, or even maybe a higher end client that may be at a 720 and we get a better overall deal to get them above 740, whether it's monthly mortgage insurance on a conventional deal, better pricing, whatever the case may be. So, but yeah, help people with credit, mainly purchases, and sometimes refinances depending upon, where rates are.
Right. So the next question, what advice would you give to someone getting ready to buy a new home?
Probably the biggest piece of advice is, first of all, seek out a professional real estate agent to guide you through the process. Sean Gruber can help you with that. But also get with a mortgage professional. Obviously, I'd love to help you with it, but somebody with experience, or somebody with a company that has a ton of experience in it. Too many people, I've seen them dealing with less experienced people, get caught sometimes, and you don't really know you get caught until you're about a week or two before closing. By that point in time, you've already given notice wherever you're renting, or maybe PCS, and you've got that household goods ready to be delivered on a certain date. And what I mean by that as well is a loan officer that is experienced, that's asking the pertinent questions.
Right.
Online apps are great. Don't get me wrong, and they do serve its purpose, but sometimes the online apps, certain answers to certain questions lead to additional questions,
right.
and those online apps really can't ask that.
And that's where the experience
comes into play. If a customer, because I do use our online apps a lot, but I do connect with them, ask those questions so we can get the true answers to some things. But getting income documents up front from a borrower,
right.
Getting asset documents up front from a borrower, just because that gives me a chance to evaluate everything.
Right.
And look, I mean, it may be for, unless you didn't provide it to me, there may be a debt on a bank statement.
Yeah.
That's not on a credit report.
Yeah.
There may be on a pay stub a deduction to pay back a debt that we weren't aware of. And people can tell me they make $100,000 or whatever they make. Yeah, we can figure that income, but I tell my story in black and white. And what I mean by that, give me pay stubs, give me bank statements, W-2s. Therefore, I know that up front. If you've been pre-approved with an online lender or somebody that has not asked that up front, I press you to get that stuff to them immediately, just because the proof's in the pudding then, basically. That's what I look at. That's what any lender looks at. Unfortunately, in my line of work, I hate it when a customer walks in my door almost in tears because a week or two prior to closing, they were dealing with somebody that they didn't know what the dickens they were doing.
Right.
And finally, because some of these 800 numbers, some of these online companies, they employ people, pay a minimum wage just to tell everybody yes.
Right.
And eventually, when you supply those income asset documents, it gets to somebody with experience, which we have up front, but it gets to somebody with experience to make the educated decision to say, I'm sorry, you don't qualify now.
Yeah.
Because we all use what I call a little black box, these automated systems that we run a scenario through, but it can't pick up certain things.
Yeah.
And it's all about having the experience and seeing, because like I said, we tell our story in black and white.
Yeah.
So dealing with somebody experienced or with an experienced company is one of the biggest, as far as the mortgage side of things, one of the biggest pieces of advice that I've got.
And from a real estate side, if you're looking at getting a new home or refinancing, but from our side, from the real estate side, it's really me, your lender, the attorney. If you're doing new construction, it's a builder or another agent on the other side that we're dealing with. And so you sort of have this group of people that separate, but we come together as a team. We tagline this builder relationship thing. And it's sort of why I asked Brian to do our first one with us. Just because it's not today, sign here, I got my money and we're out of here. I think you mentioned, possibly having down the road, you're going to continue to do that relationship and be able to get the other side of it. If it's a refinance down the road, or you're looking to sell, or you're looking to do the other piece of it, we're always here continuously, and it isn't just a turn and burn, which I think you may get a little bit more of that from a national level company that has a live here and can remember. And
I would agree.
turnover.
The other thing I'd add to that, something local versus online or a bigger lender, is a couple big things that I really, when any customer sits across the table from me or I get them on the phone, two biggest questions that I can answer. Brian, where's my monthly payment?
Yep.
What do I need to bring to the closing table?
Two
Because
biggest things.
qualifying for something is one thing.
Right.
And what I mean that you may qualify for $250,000, but you only want $150,000
Exactly.
mortgage payment. So sometimes people sit across the desk from me and say, "What do I qualify for?" And before I tell them, I go, "What do you feel comfortable with as far as mortgage payment?"
Yeah.
We've had customers walk through the door. Had a customer last week walk through the door, contract already in hand. He had seen some stuff online that made certain assumptions. Their online payment was $250 off from what I had calculated. He looked at me and was like, "How is that?" Because they didn't have tax and insurance in there. So, with clients you refer me, we have those discussions up
Every
front. Just so we have we're not going to be 100% accurate on it,
Yeah.
but we're not going to be $50 off
Yep.
either.
Yep.
And it's important for the customer to understand that, what they need to bring to the closing table as well. In our market, the Fayetteville market, the builders, sellers pay a portion of that closing fees, but it's up to the builders, it's up to the sellers as to how much they pay. So,
Right.
I just want for the borrowers, our clients, to understand monthly payment and what do we need to bring to the closing table. Those are the biggest. It makes a smooth transition for all of us. Just because we don't like surprises.
And we don't want to get to the attorney's office that day and have that question, which Sherry has had a couple, in the past 6 months of the buyer pulling out contract because I didn't realize my payment was going to be that much. And you're like, okay, how did we not know this? And a lot of times it comes back to, you can't have that. They're not having that personal conversation. And again, I'm not knocking any other organization or any other business. But a lot of things we try to do is local and support, things here. And you can go on the phone all day, but there's nothing like being able to sit across from somebody or pick up that phone or see them at the restaurant and know that, like us, another part of our team, as we come together to help clients, has their back and is looking forward to seeing it through the long term. So I think, for our first time, hopefully we answer a lot of questions. I got one softball question that I've thrown in here. Again, going back to local, what's your favorite local restaurant?
We've got a bunch of them here, but a lot of times a good buddy of mine owns Luigi's, so I'll probably say Luigi's. He always takes care of us.
That's right. Luigi's is a very good place. We go there very often.
Good wine list and good
They have
food.
a very good wine list. So that wraps it up. Really, I just wanted to take an opportunity here as we move forward with these, these 4 questions with Team Groover, to do, some local people in our industry. Plus, we're going to try to grab some local businesses. Maybe we'll head down to Luigi's and do a local spotlight on them. But tell us where you're located at.
4187 Sycamore Dairy Road
phone
in Fayetteville. You can always reach me on my cell. It's always the easiest place. 910-988-4705. Once again, 910-988-4705. Or you can check me out on the web, southerntrust.com/Brian with an I, BRIANC for Canady.
All right, so on behalf of Team Groover, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy day.
Absolutely.
And as always, have a great day.
Thanks.